Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 23rd of October, comes to you from London. A little bit more green on the screen today. We saw US markets up about 0.5% last night. The Nasdaq was lower, but actually we are just seeing markets recovering some poise towards the end of the week. The dollar had a bit of a recovery yesterday, but is falling again this morning. So we are still bearish short and medium term. Remembering this is my long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market and the corresponding point and figure charts. The euro is sitting at 118, so that's just been stronger this week against the dollar. Sterling sitting at around 131 against the US dollar, so it's also been stronger against that weaker dollar this week. And we're also seeing it holding up against the euro, sitting at nudging 111, just falling back to 110.50. Bitcoin had a pretty strong week. Actually, we broke to multi-month highs, and we are now looking to close the week higher than any level that we have for a good few years. So that's very bullish for Bitcoin followers. Looking at the S&P 500 index, as I said, we were up slightly at the end yesterday. Might be just finding some cloud support there, but the Nasdaq has actually traded below the cloud now on the 60-minute chart. So that is just putting us into downside potential, with targets some 2 to 4% lower on the short-term chart. And of course, these longer-term targets, 23% hanging over us. We're just struggling basically to make new highs. Looking at the Dow, we're down 0.5%. The futures today are up slightly. We're seeing the S&P future up just under 0.25%, and the Nasdaq E-mini just under 0.5%. So we are seeing futures suggesting that the market will open a little bit higher. The VIX volatility is sitting at 27.83. The fear index, this has actually just receded a bit. It did nudge that 30 level the last few days, and it seems that this 30 level is really now the level for the VIX. So above 30, we can worry about the markets, but for the moment, we've come back into the 20s, so it's still just a bit on a knife edge. The FTSE future is up 1% in the UK. The cash market in Germany is up just under 1%, and the CAC 40 in Paris is up 1.3%, but the European market's still nowhere near making new highs. Looking at Japan, we're up 0.4% there. The Hang Seng Index also was up at just 0.5%. So Asia, actually, Hong Kong has had a pretty good couple of weeks. The long-term chart's still pretty bearish, but we are seeing that improving there. China was down 1%, just breaking lower, just struggling in this range that we've been in now for 3 months. And the Sensex in India was up just over 1/3%. The Aussie market was down slightly. Sensex still troubling to make new highs, and we're seeing here the Aussie market nowhere near making new highs. Looking at gold, we are sitting at 1910. We're just holding on to the bullish trend there, and we've got upside targets. And silver, similarly, is up just under 1/3%, holding on there. US 10-year yields are really pushing higher. We've flagged this week that we're making 3-4 month highs. We're really just pushing higher now, and this 1% level starting to look on the cards for US 10-year bond yields. So that's really quite key. The energy mix, we're seeing Brent crude down slightly this morning. It's had a fairly flat week. Our prediction for the week was flat, and we are pretty much where we started, a little bit lower. And so for the moment, no clear direction. That high still hanging over us. US nat gas, WTI much the same. And if we look at US nat gas, we've got the picture here that we did break that $3 mark. We got to 305. We're just pulling back. Looks like a pullback to 285. So just a bit of profit taking there, but US nat gas really looking stronger and stronger all the time. New York RBOB gasoline prices lower. They haven't fared so well this week. We are just trending lower, but of course following crude generally. Coal is up this morning, and we're just holding on to those gains there. And emissions, a really big move here, 5%. Is this the bottom for emissions? That's the big question. No clear targets on the short-term charts. It will ultimately be the pullback and then the run. If we can go higher, that's what we need for a bottom in emissions. Looking at MBP, we're up this morning here 1.7%, just pushing higher all the time. We're bullish on gas this week in Europe. Same with TTF front month and winter gas and Gazprom, all pushing higher, so gas markets looking pretty strong. German power actually having a strong recovery along with emissions this morning. Yesterday we just seem to have found the bottom at 38.10. If we fall below that 38.10 level now, that's very bad for German power. So we've got a level. The interesting thing is we've struggled to get back above the 40 euro mark. And if we look at the quarterly contract, much the same picture there. French power lower as well. It's recovering this morning, but the trend is still very much down. Dutch power up 2.8%. We're seeing a real resurgence in power markets. Nordic power also higher this morning, and if we look at the quarterly contract there, it's also higher. We don't have a paint yet for Czech power, but it will inevitably fall along with German power. And UK power, little changed. It's really held up on that seasonal contract there. That's it for today. Until Monday, have a great weekend. Happy charting. See you then.